My friends, I need you to stop whatever you're doing right now because what I'm about to share with you today could save you from making a very costly mistake. One that thousands of seniors across this country are already making as we head into this tax season. The IRS has just issued a serious warning, and it is aimed directly at people just like you, men and women who are collecting Social Security, SSI, SSDI, VA benefits, or any combination of government income. And here's what frightens me. Most people haven't heard a single word about this yet. Now I want you to imagine your neighbor. Let's call her Ruth. Ruth is 71 years old, lives alone in Ohio, and every year, like clockwork, she files her taxes on April 1st. She's proud of it. Get it done early, she always says. But this year, Ruth filed early, and now she's waiting on a refund that the IRS has flagged, frozen, and put under review. And she has no idea why. She's scared, she's confused, and she's watching her phone every single day, waiting for an answer that hasn't come. I don't want that to be you. And that's exactly why we're having this conversation today. So stay with me, because over the next few minutes, I am going to walk you through exactly what the IRS announced, what it means for your Social Security income, your SSDI payments, your VA benefits, and your tax return. And most importantly, I'm going to tell you what you should and should not do before April 15th. This is real, this is urgent, and this affects millions of Americans right now. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about what the IRS actually said, because the language coming out of Washington right now is unusually strong. The IRS released guidance warning taxpayers, particularly those receiving government benefits, to pause before filing if they have not yet received all of their official tax documents. Now, you might be thinking, well, I already got my SSA 1099 in the mail, so I'm fine. But here's the thing, that may not be the only document you need, and this is where a lot of seniors are getting tripped up right now. Because of the 2025 COLA adjustment, the Social Security Administration sent out updated payment amounts beginning in January of this year. The average retired worker saw their monthly check increase by approximately $50 to $67, depending on their full benefit amount. For couples where both spouses collect Social Security, that increase could have been over $100 per month. Now that sounds wonderful, and it is. But here's what the IRS is flagging. Some seniors received retroactive payments or corrected deposit amounts in January or February that did not match what was originally listed on their SSA 1099 tax forms. In other words, the form you received in the mail may be showing the wrong number. If you file your taxes using an incorrect SSA 1099, you could trigger an automatic audit flag, delay your refund for months, or in some cases, you could even owe money you didn't expect to owe. The IRS has specifically asked seniors in this situation to wait for corrected documents before submitting their returns. And if you've already filed, don't panic, but do read carefully what I'm about to tell you next. Now let's talk about SSI and SSDI recipients specifically, because your situation has a few extra layers that are really important to understand this year. If you receive Supplemental Security Income, SSI, you generally do not have to file a federal tax return because SSI is not considered taxable income. That's always been true, and it remains true today. However, if you receive SSI along with other income, maybe a small pension, a part-time job, or even interest from a savings account, then you may still be required to file. And here's where seniors are making mistakes. They are forgetting to include all income sources, or they are mistakenly including SSI as taxable income and overpaying. For those of you on SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, the rules are a little different, and this is something I want you to really hear. SSDI can be taxable, but only if your combined income exceeds certain thresholds. Here's how it works. The IRS looks at what's called your combined income, which is your adjusted gross income, plus any non-taxable interest, plus half of your Social Security or SSDI benefits. If that total exceeds $25,000 for a single filer, or $32,000 for a married couple filing jointly, then up to 50% of your SSDI could be subject to federal income tax. And if it exceeds $34,000 for a single person, or $44,000 for a couple, up to 85% of your benefits can be taxed. Now, for many of you, this is not new information. But what is new this year is that the 2025 COLA increase pushed some seniors over those thresholds for the very first time. Think about that. You got a modest cost of living raise, and now you might unexpectedly owe federal taxes on your disability income, simply because your check went up by $50 or $60 a month. That is something the IRS is seeing in large numbers right now, and it's part of the reason for this official warning going out. Let's talk about our veterans for a moment, because if you receive VA disability compensation, I have some very important clarification for you that could save you a serious headache. VA disability compensation is not taxable income. It never has been, and that did not change in 2025. You do not report it on your federal income tax return. However, and this is critical, if you receive both VA disability pay and Social Security retirement or SSDI benefits, you need to be very careful about how you're reporting the Social Security portion. Many veterans mistakenly leave out their SSA 1099 income entirely, assuming that because their VA benefits are tax-free, all of their government income is tax-free. That is not accurate, and the IRS has been flagging these returns at a higher rate this year. Additionally, if you received a VA benefit increase in 2024 as a result of a disability rating adjustment, particularly those of you who went from a 70% to a 90% or 100% rating, you may have received a lump sum retroactive payment. That retroactive VA payment is still not taxable, but if it changed your household income in any way that affected your eligibility for other credits or programs, that's worth reviewing with a tax professional before you file. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention: the potential benefit offsets and what I'd call the hidden clawback problem that some SSDI and SSI recipients are running into right now. Here's a real-world scenario. Let's say you've been on SSDI for a few years, and last year you did a small amount of work. Maybe you helped a neighbor with some yard work, or you drove for a delivery app for a few months to make ends meet. You reported it, you were careful, you thought everything was fine. But then the SSA reviewed your case and determined that your earnings exceeded what's called the substantial gainful activity limit, which in 2025 was $1,450 per month for non-blind individuals. If your earnings went over that line, even briefly, you could be facing a benefit overpayment notice, meaning the SSA may say you were paid benefits during months you weren't entitled to them, and they want that money back. This is one of the most stressful situations a senior or disabled person can face, and unfortunately, it's becoming more common as the SSA increases its review activity. If you've received an overpayment notice, do not ignore it and do not panic. You have the right to appeal, and in many cases you can request a waiver if repayment would cause financial hardship. But you need to act quickly, because the SSA will begin withholding from your future checks if you don't respond within the time frame listed on your notice. So what exactly should you do and not do before April 15th? Let me be as clear and practical as I possibly can here, because this is the part that really matters. If you have not yet filed your taxes, the first thing I want you to do is gather every single income document you've received. That includes your SSA 1099 from Social Security, any 1099-R forms if you have a pension or retirement account distribution, W-2 forms if you worked even part-time last year, and any 1099 INT forms from bank interest. Lay them all out on your kitchen table and make sure every dollar of income is accounted for, and then double-check your SSA 1099 against the actual deposits you received. If there's a discrepancy, if your form shows a different annual total than what actually landed in your bank account, do not file until you contact the SSA and request a corrected form. If you already filed and you're now worried that something may be off, here's what you need to know. The IRS allows you to file an amended return using Form 1040X. If you discover that you made an error, whether you overstated your income and overpaid, or understated and now owe more, you can correct it. The deadline to amend a return and still receive a refund is generally 3 years from the original filing date, so you have time. But if you owe additional taxes, the sooner you address it, the better, because penalties and interest can accumulate. One more thing I want to mention: do not fall for tax preparer scams this time of year. Every spring, we see a surge in fraudulent tax preparers who specifically target seniors, often promising large refunds, charging excessive fees, or filing returns without the client's full knowledge. Always make sure your preparer signs your return and includes their preparer tax identification number. If they refuse to do that, walk away. Now let me leave you with something encouraging. because I don't want you to walk away from this conversation feeling afraid. I want you to feel empowered. The fact that you're here, watching this, paying attention, that already puts you ahead of so many people. The IRS warning that went out is serious, but it's also manageable. The COLA increase that may have bumped your income is a good thing. It just comes with a little extra homework. And the rules around SSI, SSDI, VA benefits, and Social Security taxation, while complicated, can absolutely be navigated when you have the right information. If you're not sure whether you need to file or whether your return is accurate, please reach out to a trusted tax professional, ideally one who has experience working with seniors on fixed incomes and government benefits. Many communities also offer free tax assistance through the IRS VITA program, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, which provides free filing help to people who generally earn $67,000 or less per year. You can find a VITA site near you by visiting irs.gov or calling 2111. My friends, this tax season has more complexity built into it than most years. Between the COLA adjustments, the SSA payment changes, the VA benefit updates, and the IRS scrutiny of government income reporting, there is a lot to keep track of. But you don't have to figure it out alone. Share this video with a friend or family member who's on Social Security or disability benefits, because they need to hear this too. And if you found this helpful, please leave a comment below. I read every single one, and let me know what questions you have about your specific situation. You've worked hard your whole life. You've earned these benefits, and you deserve to keep every single dollar that's rightfully yours. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves.